Identify the trade setups that you trade best. Stay tuned, traders. We'll be right back. Good day, traders. Stacey Burke from Stacey Burke Trading. Today talking about identifying the best trade setups that you trade best. Part of my videos and vlog, I've talked about this in other videos. ILT, Invest, Learn, and Teach. I invest a lot in my ongoing education and ongoing training. I have some pretty big goals, and I've been really working on increasing size and really narrowing down my playbook setups on 2 or 3 trade setups, and just really focusing on how I can tighten my risk around those trade setups and trade bigger and better. And as I've talked about, I've done a lot of learning. Mike Bellafiore from S&B Capital, I put a lot of emphasis on the playbook. And you know, we talked about this in the 7-step daily routine for high performance traders. If you haven't done so, go to my homepage, download it. It's an audio file. Build your playbook. That's your trading business. So identify the trading setups that you trade best. It's really important to, you know, we've talked about, there's a lot of profitable trading systems out there, but inevitably it's usually the trader that fails them, or they try to trade them through all market conditions. And it's important that you get really, really specific. And the first part of identifying the trade setups that you trade best is eliminating out the trades that cause you the most stress, most losses, perhaps most risk, don't fit into your environment or your culture for trading. And so when you can identify those 2 or 3 setups that you trade best, the next part of that is to identify all the variables around those trade setups that could affect them. For example, if they're big moves and there's a catalyst effect or economic news impact that's caused that catalyst effect, or if there are other factors that go into that building up. For me, I talk about a lot of the opening range from my daily charts. So I'll often look at the economic calendar for the week, and I will look at the overall daily chart and look to see how that opening range sets up as we build into the announcements. So I like to see push patterns into supply or push patterns into demand that start to exhaust prior to the announcements, so we can start to see that there's been some impulsive and corrective move in the market where there's positions perhaps building up, and I can start to look at narrowing my entries into the market as that sets up. So I like to use the hourly charts and then go to the 5-minute charts once that's been triggered, or when I'm near that trigger, to see if the 5-minute chart gives me my ideal entry, because that's a way for me to narrow down my risk from the daily chart to the hourly to a 5-minute chart. So for example, there was a couple of trades yesterday on the pound yen and the euro yen that essentially yielded on the pound yen 20 to 1. And that's the sort of trade, you know, again, even at 5 to 1, you can take these losses, get back in, and get better at them. So I spoke about using micro lots initially to really study the price action around this and get my skills honed by just trading, learning from that, making mistakes, doing it better, and going back the next day or the day after and figuring out how I could do it better. Now, obviously, every scenario presents differently, but you've got to keep forcing that boundaries of your comfort zone and learning every single day. So a couple things that Mike talks about: identify the trading setups that you trade best. So you and I could look at 2 types of trading systems and resonate with them entirely differently. So it's important that you pick the setups that you resonate best with in terms of your learning, where you're at, what fits into your time frame, your time zone, whatever that may be. Measure them and demonstrate their performance in P&L. So basically what you want to start to do is get some runs on the board, trade them, show that you can actually be profitable in those setups, and then work on consistency. So you've gotten some profitable trades. Now, how consistent are you at getting those profitable outcomes in those trading setups? You know, again, identifying all those variables, your patience to wait for those setups. And that's a big thing that I've worked on, is I've removed a lot of the other trades. I'm only looking for 1 or 2 really good trades a week. And virtually there's a great trade almost every day. Now I don't, again, as I've mentioned in other videos, I don't take all those trades, but there are good trades every single day that show up in the markets. And the next part is giving your setups names and describing all the variables around those setups. So you might have 3 or 4 different types of trade setups. Like I've sort of been working on one that I call the NAS trap, and that stands for not a swing. So I see that often into the Asia session, where we'll see an extension of the US session close. It looks like it's a swing, but it's actually a bull or a bear trap before they push it into the London Open for a 40 or 50 pip move, depending on the pair. So these are some different types of setups that I'm looking at. And that's another thing, is to be identifying different strategies and ideas in your off time that you can test out and start to work around and perhaps shape into some other best trade setups for yourself. Once you've built your playbook of examples, so you want to go back maybe 12 months and look at, week in and week out, if there was some, all the best playbook trade examples that you could put together with smaller time frames, if they include that, identifying all the variables, and actually being able to have a collection of those where you would have been able to trade them in different scenarios and how you would have performed in those outcomes. And then lastly, developing risk management plans around those trades in terms of how you can trade bigger. So in some of the training that Mike has done, they show different ways to add positions in, at different phases of a move. For me right now, I like to go all in at the beginning of my trade. That's just something that I'm comfortable with. I like to go all in, move to break even. I don't take positions off. I like to set and forget once I'm at my trade. I've got my targets programmed in. I will often approach the trade once it's reached 70 to 80% of its target to watch to see if I need to tighten that up. Again, I've talked about this in other videos, moving my R factor closer to the target as that moves closer. In case it reverses without hitting my target, I still want to take some money off the table. So hopefully you got some value out of today's video, traders. Steps to help you identify your best trading setups and get bigger and better at them. It's a game of inches, and the more you focus on the little fine details and you can narrow your focus down to 2 or 3 really high possibility setups, the more you're going to see consistency in your trading, the more you're going to have the likelihood of getting bigger in your trades and more consistent as you increase your size. Just in closing, I found that in the past, trying to trade all the time different conditions, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some, but you'll never ever really be able to get really big at those trades without taking on a huge amount of risk, and most likely won't have the consistency to show up in those results before you blow up your trading account. So stay disciplined, stay focused, traders. Get really laser focused on a couple of setups, tear them apart to the finest details that you can, figure out how you can get consistently profitable at those, then figure out how you can increase your size and still manage your risk tightly, and may the markets go with you.
Hi traders, it's Stacey Burke from Stacey Burke Trading. If you haven't done so, please head over to my website at staceyburketrading.com. I create updates on almost a daily basis, and I would love for you to receive them. Just click on the blog. If you want to enter your name and your email address, I'll send you my free audio program, the 7-Step Daily Routine for High Performance Traders. This is essential knowledge for all traders in all markets, and this is for helping traders to master the market with discipline, confidence, and a winning mindset. I appreciate all your feedback and comments. As always, traders, stay disciplined, and may the markets go with you.